I've been with Arturo on many programs, and I always hate following that kind of basso profundo voice of his. We appreciate the help you have here. It's nice to be here with Attorney General Salazar, who I have heard so much about, and who everyone who cares about democratic politics in this country has such great faith and hope in. I thought perhaps I would give you briefly an update on how our campaign is coming, and then talk a little bit about, as Attorney General Salazar did, why this campaign is an important one. Many of you follow these races closely in the process of the campaigns. I'm extremely fortunate that all the polls have us up with a double-digit lead. I've raised more money than my 3 Republicans combined have, and have more cash on hand than all 3 Republicans do combined. No open seat in the country can claim that kind of financial advantage, and very few, perhaps in Colorado, can compare favorably with that kind of lead in the polls. What I found through my 4 years in Congress is that it's not so tough to win elections as it is to prove that you deserve to win the election. And Oklahoma is a place where that is especially so. You know, Oklahoma is a more democratic state than perhaps its reputation would lead you to think it is. Those of you with long memories can remember some of the great democratic leaders who came from Oklahoma, people who were important not only for my state but for the entire country. Mike Sinar, who held my congressional seat for so many years. Dave McCurdy, a great New Democrat who was chairman of the Intelligence Committee. David Boren, Robert S. Kerr, Mike Monroney, Glenn English, Bill Brewster, of course, Speaker of the House, Carl Albert. Oklahoma has a great democratic tradition, and to this day, we have a registration advantage of 60-40 and control 4 of the 6 statewide offices and both houses of the legislature. But it has, of course, been a few years since at a top-level federal race the Democrats have done well. I think the success of our campaign has come from a realization that really animates the work of the New Democratic Network, and that is that the brand name of the Democratic Party has become devalued, if not debased, in recent years. Everywhere I go, I meet a lot of people who were once strong Democrats. Their parents benefited from Democratic policies. They still, in their heart of hearts, believe in what the Democratic Party stands for, but they're a little bit unsure whether they should identify themselves as Democrats or not. They associate the Democrats with the party of the East or West Coast, or perhaps, as someone once told me in my church, the party of lax morals. I try to remind them that great leaders from the Democratic Party really brought the 20th century to Oklahoma, and the Democratic Party is going to be the one that brings the 21st century to Oklahoma and Colorado and states just like that. We've been very successful in bringing the new Democratic message to both areas in small parts of Oklahoma as well as the urban areas. I have been a great champion of free trade, for example, in the Congress, something that's more controversial now than perhaps it ever has been. But I think it is so important, if we care about the Democratic Party and we think about rebranding the party for the future, to really address the real crises that most people confront in their daily lives. There are profound changes in our labor market in this country. Changes that, of course, No Child Left Behind and education, like Senator Landrieu talked about, help address, but don't nearly go far enough. Changes that mean for most people in Oklahoma, 90% of whom do not have a college degree, that they have a hard time making it in today's globalized environment. And they're hungry for answers. And while I would not say that I have a coherent and systematic philosophy to deal with all their concerns, I think our efforts at trying to address seriously their very real concerns about the state of our culture and the state of our economy, and not simply ephemeral events in our culture or economy, this month's jobless rate or this plant closing last month, but rather long-term trends that have been going on for 20 or 30 years and seem to be going on to the future for 20 or 30 years, and trying to find how you define the Democratic Party for that era. You know, Karl Rove is someone who is the nemesis of people like Attorney General Salazar and I, but I think he is right in saying one thing, that a lot of the ideas that have animated both parties for the last 30 years, coming out of the 1960s and 1970s, are reaching the end of their string. The debates about them, while still ferocious, are increasingly sterile. What Karl Rove is trying to do for the Republican Party is set them up for a new century, for new ideas, for new fault lines that exist in American society. It is so important that we as Democrats do the same thing, prepare ourselves for the new world in which we enter, a place where I think the Democratic Party's message is as powerful today as it ever was, but of course needs to be changed with changing circumstances. That's been the message of our campaign, and I've been fortunate that in my House career and now in the first few months of my Senate campaign, it is one that has been warmly received. I appreciate what the New Democratic Network has done for me in my House career. Simon and his staff have been great advocates for my own personal career. But even more than that, I appreciate what they've done and what you have done as supporters of the NDN in helping market the Democratic Party as one that does have vital answers and ideas that confront the rapidly changing, transforming world around us. So thank you for your help to me and to the NDN, and we look forward, along with Attorney General Salazar, to ushering in some new Democrats to the United States Senate. Thank you.